Hello YouTube, welcome back to my channel. My name is Neo. In this video, we are working on a client. We've got some new tips on. She is a return client, but she soaked off her previous set. Her video, I will link, her most recent set, I will link the video to in the cards. So she came in, we soaked off, and I applied new tips. I didn't show any footage of me applying, shaping, and blending the tips, but we have some simple, clear tips on her, and I'm going in with my priming system. I like to use the Mia Secret dehydrator primer and a thin coat of the Young Nails Protein Blonde. We have a nice short almond kind of shape for her. It's her favorite shape. And yeah, it's a really simple set in terms of acrylic. I'm going in with my Young Nails monomer and the Young Nails Core Clear, and I am just going to be applying a nice thin, simple bead of acrylic. I'm just one beading it for this set. Her nails are fairly short, and we don't need too much structure in terms of shape and or apex for the length of these nails. We're just giving her a nice bit of coverage so that her nails have a little bit of stability to them. So I'm just cleaning the sidewalls, constantly pushing that acrylic back towards the center of the nail. That's how you get that structure in the middle. You don't want your sidewalls to be bulky, and then I'm just massaging, I guess is what you can call it, the excess acrylic down over the edge of the nail. And because it is a rounded shape, I'm just curving that acrylic around that almond shape that we already made with the tip and our hand file. So it's a pretty simple application, nothing crazy, just making sure that all of the acrylic is, I guess, absorbed by the monomer. As you saw, I didn't like what I had on the brush. Totally fine, just get rid of it and do another one. I like to flip my brush back and forth and to tap the brush as the acrylic that I picked up is getting absorbed by the monomer. I feel like, I don't know, everybody has their own thing that they do. I see people wiggle their brush around, but I like to flip back and forth and kind of tap off any excess powder that might not be absorbing. And I'm just placing the bead a little bit lower than her cuticle, the actual cuticle, so maybe like 1/8 of an inch lower, and then I massage the acrylic into the nooks and crannies so that we don't overflow into the skin area, because that's not what you want. You don't want the acrylic to be on the skin. It will, help with lifting, which is not what we want. So nothing crazy happening here. This set wasn't what we intended on doing, but I think it came out so cool. It really gave off like 80s neon vibes, so that's what I'm calling this set. First, we're just going to start with this simple acrylic layer, and then I'll meet you back when we get to the next part. So I'm just going in with my 80/80 grit hand file, and as you can see, I'm using very, very light pressure. You can see how I'm holding the file with my hand. My right hand, I'm using like the smallest amount of pressure. All I'm doing here, because we did a great job in applying that acrylic, is maintaining that shape just in case there might be a little bit extra, and removing any acrylic that might be on the side walls of her nails, just making sure to maintain that nice almondy shape, nothing crazy. And because the application was fairly smooth and simple, I'm just using the same sanding band that I used to prep her nails and to blend the tip to basically smooth out the surface of her nail. I'm getting it up into the cuticle and sidewall area. I do not have the sanding band particularly high. I think the max that I have it at is about 8,000 or 9,000 RPM. So it's faster than you would definitely use if it was on the natural nail. But for the acrylic, because we're doing some hand painting with gel polish, I don't feel the need to go in with the carbide bit. I did apply a fairly thin amount of acrylic, so I don't want to remove too much product. This is basically just me cleaning the surface of the nail, getting rid of any minor lumps and bumps, and cleaning up the sidewall and cuticle area. Nothing crazy. Not all of the time, but most of the time I like to just spray the client's hands with some alcohol or Young Nail Swipe, and just use a manicure brush to remove any dust, oil, or debris that might be on the surface of the nail or in the cuticle sidewall area. It's just easier for me than sending them to the bathroom. Sometimes I send them to the bathroom if there's like a lot of dust, but you know, anything you need to do. I'm going in with this iGel Beauty gel polish, Dip and Dab. It is called At Midnight, and it's just a standard black gel polish, and I'm applying it in very, very thin layers. If you feel like you can see through the tip of the nail, that's because you can. When applying super, super dark pigmented gel polishes, you want the light to be able to cure through the product. If you apply a thick layer, you might get that weird like scrunching up or warbling up of the product. It's best to do this in thin coats, so I will be applying a second coat. I don't think I have this in the video, but I do apply 2 thin coats to get the coverage that we want, versus going in with a thick coat and it possibly not curing all the way. That's when you get that like wrinkling texture. Your gel polish might be a bit thick. So I'm applying 2 thin coats of this black gel polish from iGel Beauty. It's simple, it gets the job done, and I'm gonna have her cure for a full 60 seconds in between coats. So I have my white gel paint out. I'm not using gel polish. I like to use gel paint when doing some artwork, just because gel paint is a little bit thicker and it doesn't self-level. So wherever you place it, it will stay there, and you get the consistency and the pigment to kind of hold its own, versus if you use the gel polish, it might be a little bit more runny and self-leveling, so it might spread a little bit. I was totally winging it. So I'm using a very, very thin, as you can see, it's a very thin and long liner brush, and I'm just going in and drawing these horizontal, diagonal, vertical, abstract lines. Yeah, I don't know how to explain where this came from. It's not what we had planned, but you know, it just kind of worked out. And as you can see, I've got some pigment powders in the back. That also changed halfway through. Initially we had purple, blue, and that hot pink, but eventually we changed to a neon green, orange, and a hot pink. The only request that she made was that I leave some of the design white, so you're going to see a little bit later that I'm not covering the entire design, but for the most part we are going with an abstract kind of Aztec design. I'm going to be drawing the lines in different directions purposely. There's no rhyme or reason, but you'll see what I'm doing. Please, I say this in almost every video where I do like hand art, please don't be like me and not cure in between fingers. I am so like just bad at this. As you can see, I did not cure that pinky, and I'm just gonna finish the entire hand for the most part without having her cure. That's so reckless, guys, because if she accidentally touches my finger, or if she sneezes, or if I move in a weird way, or maybe she touches the table, then we're screwed and have to start all over. Please don't be like me. So yeah, I'm just drawing these random geometric straight line shapes, and then we're gonna fill them in with random horizontal, vertical, diagonal lines. And I'm trying to be just very steady with this long brush. The great thing about using striping brushes is the longer and the thinner the brush, the less work you kind of have to do. You just kind of lay the brush on the nail and rotate the finger, or drag your painting hand, I guess, and it kind of just does the work for you. So if you're someone who doesn't have a steady hand, that's I guess what I use to kind of get it to work for me. And yeah, I'm being uber careful, and yeah, there's not much to say. I didn't really know what I was doing, but it came out really freaking cool. So I'll just let you watch this part. Okay, so thank goodness at this point I realized that she still hadn't cured any of her fingers, and I was just like, you know what, just cure for a second, give me give me a bit, cure that really fast, and then I was able to get back to working on the other fingers. Please don't be like me and not cure in between your hand art. But yeah, the pigments that I'm using I got from Amazon actually. It's a really awesome set. I think you get 12 containers of this small pigment, and I think it's maybe $10. I will link it down below for you. And you get a nice variety of colors: blue, yellow, white even, purple, red, like a neon purpley pink. It's really, really cool and affordable. And the great thing about pigments is that they will last you forever. You use the tiniest amount and you get the most amazing effect. And there's so many ways that you can use them. I actually used pigments in a recent video for Valentine's Day. I will link that in the cards for you as well to check out. I did a graffiti style I guess drawing on a nail, and I used pigments to kind of ombre that effect, so that was really cool. But there's tons of ways you can use pigments. You can use them to create custom hard gel or polygel colors. mixing them into acrylics. There's so many things that you can do, but in this case we are just going to be applying them directly onto this white gel design that we are doing. As you can see, I'm struggling. I'm like, I don't know what I'm doing, but we'll figure it out. Yeah, I'm just drawing these random geometric lines and being careful not to get it on her skin, but if I do, just using my finger or a brush with some acetone or alcohol just to wipe it away. That's the beautiful thing about gel polish. You don't have to be perfect, and it wipes away easily as long as you don't cure. So just taking your time. Do not forget to cure in between fingers. Don't beat like me. And yeah, I'm just trying to cover the nail enough where it's not too many black spaces, but then give different directions of those lines so that there's a little bit of interest. So now that I'm just about done, I had her cure, and I'm taking just a fluffy, tiny brush, and I'm dipping it into the tiniest amount of pigment. As you can see, it is so vibrant and bright, and every single finger is going to be getting a little bit of the pink, a little bit of the orange, and a little bit of the green. I'm sorry, I went out of frame for that. Yeah, and I'm just making sure to keep in mind that she did ask for there to be some white visible. One thing that I would have done before this, before applying the white gel paint, was wipe the nail clean with some alcohol so that the black lost its inhibition layer and wasn't sticky. As you can see, as I'm applying the pigment, I was kind of like, whoops, I forgot to wipe off the nail, and the pigment was sticking to the white and to the black. Honestly, I like that kind of look. It made it look kind of like a neon sign with the glow in the background, but she didn't like it, so I actually go in with a lint-free wipe and clean that off later. But to avoid that, I would just advise to wipe off the black gel polish layer before applying the white gel layer so that the pigment only sticks to the white gel paint versus both of them. But it wasn't a big deal, and I think these colors looked amazing. They remind me of like summer neon 80s vibes, like Miami. I thought it was so cool. I'm using a fluffy brush to kind of get rid of the excess, and then you'll be able to see how there's like a faint glow of the pigment on the black areas, but no problem. I take a lint-free wipe and some swipe, and I'm just cleaning off any of the black areas. On this nail, it's not a big deal, but when I get to the other nails that have like multiple shapes like closely, you know, next to each other, then it's a little bit tricky, but we managed. It came out great. But yeah, I'm just using that wipe to kind of clean up the areas where I do not want the pigment to be. Once we get to this part, I am using my Macart glossy top coat. I'm going to be giving all 10 of her fingers a nice coating of this glossy top coat, and we're going to cure for a full 60 seconds, and this set is pretty much done. You don't have to worry about the pigment moving too much. It did stick to that white gel paint fairly well, so I wasn't worried about it like traveling as I'm swiping down on the nail, but just, you know, be cautious about the amount of gel polish you use, gel top coat that you use, and the pressure that you're using with the brush to avoid anything. So this is what that set came out looking like. I thought it was so fun and bright, and it was just different. I really thought it came out really, really nicely, and she loved it. Like this video if you like, subscribe for more, comment down below if it's something that you might try, maybe in a different color scheme. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.